There comes a time in your journey where words are no longer the answer. People may misunderstand you. They will question your decisions, judge your silence, and even laugh at your discipline. But you must understand, you do not owe them a single explanation. When the storm is loud outside, the wise one doesn't raise his voice. He sits in stillness and lets his actions speak. Why focus on others who haven't walked your path? Why defend your values to those who don't share them? Instead, focus on yourself. Focus on what you can control. Your breath, your mind, your discipline, your growth. In this world, attention is a currency, and people will pull at you with criticism, jealousy, or noise to steal your focus. Do not let them. Withdraw from the chaos. Train in silence. Meditate in silence. Build in silence. And then, let the silence deliver the message for you. Because when you truly evolve, you stop announcing your growth. You embody it. Let your posture, your energy, your peace be louder than 1,000 words. So remember this, the loudest warrior is not the strongest. The strongest is the one who does not flinch, who walks forward in silence, focused solely on mastering himself. This is the way of the inner warrior, and this is the way to freedom. In a world that values noise, speed, and constant self-expression, silence is often misunderstood. It is mistaken for weakness, for passivity, or even for ignorance. But in truth, silence is a form of profound inner strength, a conscious decision to step back from the chaos of reaction and to dwell in the calmness of understanding. When one remains silent, it is not always because they have nothing to say, but rather because they choose not to waste their energy on things that do not serve their path. Silence in its deepest form is a manifestation of control. Control over one's emotions, control over one's ego, and control over one's need to be heard. It is the ability to hold stillness within while the world around you trembles in noise. Consider the martial artist. In the training hall, there is no need for boasting, no need for unnecessary talk. Every movement, every breath, every step reflects years of dedication, discipline, and refinement. He does not need to announce his capabilities. His silence is evidence enough. He does not need to argue or explain. His presence, his composure, his restraint, these are all the voice he needs. In the same way, when a person truly knows who they are, when they are aligned with their inner values, they no longer feel the urge to prove anything to anyone. Their silence becomes a powerful aura that communicates without words. It says, I know who I am, and I do not need your approval to continue walking my path. Silence is also where clarity is born. When the mind is filled with noise, the noise of opinions, of comparisons, of distractions, it becomes clouded. But when one embraces silence, especially in solitude, the mind begins to clear. In that clarity, wisdom begins to rise. You begin to distinguish between what is essential and what is superficial. You begin to understand the motivations behind your actions. You hear the voice of your own soul, a voice that often gets drowned in the chatter of the world. This is why ancient practitioners, monks, sages, and warriors alike valued silence not as emptiness, but as a sacred space, a place where the true self can emerge. In this way, silence is not the absence of communication, it is the language of awareness. And finally, silence is protection. In situations where conflict is rising, where egos are clashing, and where anger seeks a reaction, silence becomes your shield. To remain calm in the presence of provocation is a sign of great inner maturity. It means you have risen above the level of reactivity. You are no longer a puppet pulled by strings of emotion, you are a master of your response. And this mastery does not come from passivity, but from presence. You are present enough to witness the situation without letting it control you. You are aware enough to feel the emotion without becoming enslaved to it. That is the power of silence. It does not fight the fire with more fire. It extinguishes the fire by refusing to feed it. Silence, then, is not an escape. It is not hiding. It is the highest form of engagement, one that does not require noise to assert truth. And those who cultivate silence within will begin to notice something profound. People start to listen more closely, not to their words, but to their way of being. Their walk, their decisions, their energy begins to speak volumes. This is the way of the inner warrior, the one who speaks less but says more, the one who chooses silence not because he is afraid, but because he understands the most powerful message is not shouted, it is lived. Your energy is your life force. It is the invisible currency that determines how you show up in the world, how you think, how you act, how you feel. And yet, most people spend it carelessly. They invest their energy in arguments that lead nowhere, in people who do not value their presence, and in thoughts that only drain them of peace. To walk the path of inner mastery is to become highly selective about where, when, and to whom you give your energy, because every drop matters. Every moment you spend in negativity, in comparison, in unnecessary drama, you are weakening your foundation. The wise practitioner knows this. He does not fight every battle. He does not react to every challenge. He observes, assesses, and protects his energy like a flame in the wind. In daily life, there will always be provocations. People who question your choices, situations that test your patience, unexpected problems that arise. These are not exceptions, they are part of the path. But how you respond to them determines the state of your internal world. If you give your attention to every criticism, if you try to prove yourself to every doubter, or if you carry the emotional weight of everyone around you, you will eventually collapse under the weight of it all. Protecting your energy means not letting the external world dictate your internal peace. It means understanding that not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every challenge requires your involvement. Sometimes walking away is not defeat, it is discipline. It is important to understand that energy is not only physical. Your mental focus, your emotional clarity, and your spiritual balance are also forms of energy. Every time you give in to worry, every time you replay negative conversations in your head, every time you engage with people who drain your spirit, you are spending energy. And often these withdrawals happen so subtly that you don't even notice the cost. This is why mindfulness is essential. You must learn to observe yourself, where your thoughts go, what triggers your emotions, and how certain environments affect your presence. The more aware you become, the more you'll be able to preserve your energy for the things that truly matter: growth, discipline, and peace. There is also another side to this. Energy protection is not just about avoidance, it is about conscious redirection. When you stop pouring your energy into meaningless distractions, you begin to reclaim it. You redirect it toward building habits, nurturing inner stillness, and cultivating the mindset of a warrior. You begin to notice how much more powerful you become when you stop leaking energy through conflict and instead channel it through commitment. Instead of chasing validation, you work on mastering your craft. Instead of arguing, you act. Instead of reacting, you reflect. This is the quiet power of those who walk the disciplined path. They are not distracted. They are not scattered. They are not scattered. Their energy is focused, intentional, and clean. On the journey of life, many pursue mastery over skills, over business, over influence. But few pursue the highest form of mastery over the self. This path is not glamorous. It is not loud. It is not filled with applause. It is internal, silent, invisible to the eyes of the world. Yet it is this path that leads to true liberation, because until a person learns to govern their own thoughts, control their emotions, and choose their responses with wisdom rather than impulse, they remain a prisoner, not of the world, but of themselves. Self-mastery is not about perfection. It is about awareness. It is about recognizing that the real battlefield is not outside, it is within your own mind. Each day brings countless opportunities to train this mastery. When you feel the urge to react in anger, and you choose calm, you are training. When you want to avoid discomfort, and instead step into it, you are training. When your mind seeks distraction, but you return to your breath, you are training. This is the discipline of the inner warrior, to take full responsibility for your inner world. Blaming others, complaining about circumstances, or waiting for life to change, these are signs that the mind is still ruled by impulse. But when you begin to look inward and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? You begin to shift from victimhood to power. And that shift is the beginning of self-mastery. Self-mastery requires structure. Just as a sword must be repeatedly forged, cooled and sharpened to become useful, so too must the human being undergo cycles of effort, reflection and refinement. You need routines that bring clarity to your day. You need physical practices that connect your body to your intention. You need silence to understand your mind. And most importantly, you need to observe yourself, not just during peace, but especially in moments of stress and conflict. These are the real tests. Anyone can remain calm in a temple, on a mountain, or in solitude. But to remain rooted while the storm is raging, that is the essence of mastery, not in the absence of chaos, but in the eye of it. And finally, self-mastery is freedom. When you learn to control your desires, you are no longer manipulated by them. When you control your attention, marketers and distractions can no longer steal it. When you master your emotions, no insult or praise can shake your stability. You become unmoved, yet fully alive. You walk the world not seeking approval, but embodying presence. This freedom is not given, it is earned, through practice, through failure, through awareness. It is a slow awakening to the truth, that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your impulses. You are the one who observes, chooses and acts. That is the true goal. That is the highest form of success. Words are easy. They are abundant, often used carelessly, and frequently empty. In today's world, people speak of discipline without waking up early. They speak of respect without practicing humility. They speak of strength without first learning to endure. But action does not lie. Action reveals everything. It is the mirror that reflects your true level of commitment. No matter how eloquently someone speaks of their intentions, if their actions do not align with their words, their message carries no weight. This is why the path of inner mastery teaches us to speak less and to act more, to express our truth not through noise, but through movement, not through declarations, but through demonstration. There is a quiet power in consistency. It is not showy, it does not need applause, but it is deeply transformative. When you rise early every day to train, even when no one is watching, that is action. When you remain patient and calm in moments when your ego wants to explode, that is action. When you walk away from conflict, not because you are weak, but because your peace matters more, that is action. These small, consistent choices build character. They form the foundation of your presence in the world, and over time they speak far louder than any speech, louder than any defense, louder than any promise you could make. People begin to feel your strength, not because you announced it, but because you live it. Letting your actions speak also means not falling into the trap of defending your every decision. When others misunderstand you or criticize your silence, the immature impulse is to explain, to argue, to prove yourself. But the master knows the truth does not need defending. Reality is self-evident. Your life, your routine, your discipline, your peace, these are all forms of silent testimony. You do not need to explain your journey to those who are not walking it. Their judgment is not a reflection of your truth. So instead of engaging in fruitless debates, simply return to your practice. Keep showing up. Keep evolving. In time, the results will make the noise you chose not to make. And perhaps the greatest reason to let your actions speak is this: actions inspire. They do what words alone cannot. A person who lives with discipline encourages others to rise early without even saying a word. A person who remains kind in the face of cruelty teaches more about strength than any lecture. A person who continues their journey quietly, humbly, without the need for validation, becomes a living reminder of what is possible. This is the true influence, not controlling others with arguments but uplifting them through example. When your life becomes your message, you no longer need to convince, you simply need to continue. And through that you become not just a speaker of wisdom but a vessel of it. The world has often confused volume with power, and noise with authority. We are surrounded by voices demanding attention, people announcing their achievements, boasting of their strength, and trying to dominate conversations through sound and force. But true power does not need to be loud. True power walks quietly. It is stable, centered, and unwavering. The inner warrior does not raise his voice to prove his worth, because his worth is not based on opinion. His strength comes from what is unseen. His self-discipline, his restraint, and his unwavering commitment to the path. He does not chase the spotlight, because he understands light that shines from within is far more lasting than the one borrowed from outside. The inner warrior is not silent because he has nothing to say, he is silent because he has nothing to prove. His calmness is not apathy, it is control. His stillness is not weakness, it is precision. Every movement, every word, and every choice is intentional. He is not moved by provocation, because he has trained his mind to observe before reacting. He does not engage in battles of ego, because he has already defeated his own. The battles of the external world pale in comparison to the wars he has fought within, and because of this, his silence is not emptiness, it is full of mastery. It is the quiet of one who is no longer tossed by emotional waves, but anchored deeply in presence. This quiet nature of the inner warrior also allows him to listen, not just to others but to life itself. He hears what others miss, the subtle shifts in energy, the changes in intention, the whispers of the body, the quiet messages of the environment. He does not need to be the loudest voice in the room to understand what is true. He simply watches, listens, and waits. This ability to remain quiet in a noisy world gives him an advantage that cannot be taught. The ability to move when it is time, and to remain still when it is wise. His wisdom is not in how much he speaks, but in how deeply he perceives. This is why those who have truly walked the path of discipline often say little, because they are too busy observing, too busy learning, and too rooted in truth to waste words on illusions. And in his quietness, the inner warrior becomes a presence. People may not understand him, but they feel him. His energy does not need an introduction. It arrives before he does. You will notice it in the way he walks, grounded without hurry, in the way he sits tall yet relaxed, in the way he looks at the world, not with judgment, but with clarity. He does not command respect through fear or force. He earns it through his being, and that presence, born from years of inner training, cannot be faked. It is not the product of appearance or performance, but the result of countless silent hours spent with discomfort, with solitude, with truth. It is in these silent hours that the warrior is formed, not through external conquest, but through internal transformation. So now you understand. You do not need to announce your growth. You do not need to defend your peace. And you certainly do not need to explain your silence. Just walk. Just train. Just refine yourself every single day. Let others speak. Let them doubt you, question you, misunderstand you. That is their path. Yours is different. You are not here to entertain opinions. You are here to evolve. And in time, your silence will speak for itself. It will speak through your discipline, through your focus, through your results. through the calm that surrounds you while others crumble in noise. So stay on the path, focus on yourself, and let your silence do all the talking.